Hey everyone, welcome to Salt. We are back in Texas. Yeehaw.
I don't think you're being very convincing, Brett.
Yay. The stars are bright, deep in the heart of Texas. See? I'm excited. It's hot.
It is, but we're doing okay inside.
Yeah, we just got back from, as you know, a month on the road?
Almost a month.
Almost a month on the road.
5 days short of a month, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and we are now back. And I still hasn't felt back. I know we're back, but I still haven't felt home yet.
Yeah, usually for me, it's the bed. The bed and my own blankets, and then it's home. Only it didn't do that for me last night. But what did it for me was my towel after I got my shower. I was like, oh, it's my towel. It's just right, you know? It's not a big, heavy, thick towel, and yeah.
Yeah. And our kitties are, I think, still not real thrilled with us, but...
Oh, they're so happy, and they want to be petted all the time. And they're...
All the time.
Talk to us.
Kitty, our first kitty, older kitty, I've never heard her this vocal ever in her entire life.
It's true.
Every time, meow, meow, meow. And she comes out, here she keeps coming. Usually she would like stay in her room, stay in the bed, Aspen's room, Aspen. And now she keeps coming out here and wanting attention. Yeah, it's crazy. So never leave your cats alone for a month.
Oh, well, they weren't alone.
No, we had friends that were checking on and stuff, but still. But we're back, and we've been to Omaha, and we've been to Barron Springs, and Battle Creek, and Mount Pleasant, and Mackinac, and Hendersonville, and Asheville, and Fletcher, and Lafayette, Nashville, Little Rock, Texarkana. We've been everywhere.
Well, we didn't stop in all of those places.
No, we've been there, though.
Yeah.
We saw them, and yet we are back.
We're back.
Anyway, you may have noticed something is a little different.
Brett has a guitar.
Oh, yes, I'm holding a guitar. And this is a Takamine guitar. Ooh, ah. And it's actually pretty meaningful in that when I was probably, 5, 6 years old, one of my vivid memories from back then is my father playing guitar. And I remember he had a Goya guitar back then. It was light color. It was a blonde guitar, they called it. And I remember sitting in the chair, and he had just gone from playing ukulele to the guitar, so he wasn't real, practicing that. But he was playing the guitar, and I just remember 5, 6, just how wonderful that experience was, just sitting in the chair with him and sitting there playing the guitar. And I thought, I want to do that someday, and that was when I was 5 or 6. And then later in life, I did pick up the guitar, and I played that Goya for a little while, and he got me a guitar. He got me a Guild that I still have, and played that for a long time. But he had this guitar here later on. He bought this Takamine, and I had forgotten he'd even had it because I hadn't seen him play it in so long, and I wasn't sure what had happened to it. But when we were in North Carolina this last little bit, visiting Kathy, my stepmom, before we left, she said, I got something to give you. And she had pulled this out, and she had gotten it and sent it to the guitar people, and they sent it to some luthiers, and they fixed it all up and got it all brand new looking. And she said she wanted me to have my father's guitar, because my dad passed away, I don't know, 9 years?
At least 9 years ago. Yeah, 9. Yes.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we used to do, and I would go home and I'd play guitar for him, and he liked hearing me play some of the hymns. He liked the old hymns and stuff, and that's what he would play. And he was really a keyboard. He played the organ a lot. He made his CD for organ playing and stuff. But I used to play for him there towards the end. And anyway, we thought it would be interesting if I played one of those songs I used to play for Dad. just on the guitar he gave me, because it was really, really powerful and meaningful to me to have his old guitar and to play it. It's one of those things. It's kind of more emotion than I can really, deal with in a moment or express. I mean, it just kind of fills you up, and so yeah, it's like that to have. And one thing I didn't tell Kathy that if you watch this, Aspen had said something months ago about wanting to learn how to play the guitar, and we actually looked around about buying guitars, and there was 2 or 3 times I came very close to buying one to teach her how to play the guitar, but I wanted to get her a classical because it has nylon strings, and it's a little easier to learn on a classical. It's easier to play. And we came very close to buying some, and now I'm just thrilled we didn't. And it's might be a multi-generational thing, and that I learned to play on the guitar, and now Aspen may learn to play on Dad's guitar, and so it could be an ongoing family tradition. But anyway, this was the song he liked the most when I would come home and play. This is what he always wanted me to play for him, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can. If I even get close, you'll be able to figure out what it is. If not, then just pretend it's pretty music. So it's been 9 years since I played that. But yeah, so that was something I used to do a lot. And so I will now hand off to my roadie, Aspen. Yeah, so anyway, that was, really, really meaningful and powerful. And again, thank you, Kathy, for that amazing gift. And we will cherish it and play it and maybe pass on the legacy of music to Aspen.
Yes, that's a really good idea. It reminds me of a classical guitar concert I went to way back. Maybe I was about 30 or so. And well, I mean, you hear people play guitars and stuff like that. It usually doesn't have that much effect on me, but that classical guitar music, I could have just melted entirely out of my chair. It left me that relaxed. And just now as well, just the classical guitar sound like that. And I think the fact that it's like a quality sound that comes out of there.
Yeah.
There's something with the vibrations or something, I don't know, but it just starts to relax.
Oh, even though I hacked my way through the song. But yeah, I mean, it's a really nice guitar. It's a Takamine, especially in its day, was a very expensive guitar. The wood they used was really nice wood. I mean, there's a lot of things about the guitar that makes it a really nice, expensive guitar. Although that's not why it's meaningful, to me anyway.
Right, yeah.
And, it's what goes along with the guitar. It's the memories.
Yeah, it's not the guitar itself.
Right.
It's not the thing. It's the relationship.
It brings back the relationship.
It represents the relationship that you had with your father.
Yeah, and that's what makes it powerful and meaningful. Not the object itself, the relationship behind the object. I'm sure you have some sort of spiritual point you can make with that.
Oh, why, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, just so you know, I tried really, really hard. And I hope it makes sense.
It'll make sense.
It'll make sense.
Share with the people what you thought of.
What I thought of?
Yeah, but
Well,
you realized it's not about the guitar. It's not about the. It's about the relationship.
Yeah, you want me to talk about what they talked about in Sabbath school today?
No, that was. So what she had here is that think about the reasons Brett was so something about getting his dad's old guitar.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's not because it was an expensive guitar,
Right?
or because he had done things to impress his father, or his stepmom, so that he could have the guitar. Because that didn't happen. He had forgotten kind of that guitar even existed.
Yeah.
And there was other guitars his father had that he kind of wanted, and that didn't happen because who knows whatever had happened to them, right?
Yeah.
So when he received the guitar, it reminded him of all the good things in his relationship with his dad, and that his dad had done for him. And this, where his dad had shown up for him and had loved him. And so too, when because this wraps up what we're talking about on Wednesday.
Yeah.
When choosing to be on God's side, and God shows up for us and takes care of us and loves us, it's my relationship with Him isn't necessarily what I do for Him. It's not me getting up and making all those check marks in my relationship with Him. I have to read 30 minutes a day, I have to pray an hour a day, and we'll make a checklist of all these good and right things that we need to do in order to have a relationship with Jesus. And they are good things to do to help create relationship with Jesus. And yet, it is when God shows up for us, however it is He chooses to show up for us, that is what He does for us, not what we do for Him, that builds our relationship with Him. And reminds me, let's see, our Sabbath school teacher.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So today in Sabbath school, we're talking about Revelation in Sabbath school, and we're studying Revelation. And when we got there, they were talking about the being ready for the end, running to the mountains. And,
yes.
And I almost wanted, as we were coming back into Texas, we saw billboards, buy your bomb shelter, and they're the preppers and everything. It made me think of, I wonder how many Adventists are getting bomb shelters now. But as all that stuff we were talking about, should we run to the hill? And one of them was saying, no, he didn't think that.
Right, yeah, because their in-laws had they made sure and bought a farm that their whole family could live on and, grow their own food and such like that and be prepared. And for those times that Revelation talks about and such like that. Yeah, and yet this guy was like, all the kids are like, no. And basically the way he saw it, of course, is that it's more about your faith relationship than it is about having that farm that you're going to go to. And that one is taking care of yourself, and the other is God taking care of you.
Right.
And so I kind of wrapped up what he had to say was it's sort of like going on a trip.
Yeah, which was meaningful to us because you pack things.
Yes.
Oh, I need this and I need that. And
Yeah. And yet it's not about packing the stuff that you can see. It is about packing the stuff that you can't see. And that is, it's not about the farm and what I can do for myself that creates that relationship with God. It's about packing up the faith and the love of God and all that kind of stuff. And that it gets growing and put in my suitcase more by what God does for me than anything that I've ever done for Him. Because He is the one who has the power to change us and change our hearts and such. And is what the Sabbath school teacher mentioned after that. He's like, yeah, I learned stuff today in Sabbath school that he hadn't really thought about before. And it's when all of a sudden we see a deeper depth in who God is. When He reveals that to us, then that's what creates the relationship. Because we realize how much He is and really how little and nothing that we are.
And so that's kind of in Sabbath school again, it's Revelation. It's easy to get caught up in dates and timelines and interpretations and this and that, and then it gets into when you start talking about prepare for the end and get the goats and the sheep and the bomb shelters and the everything, get ready to run to the mountains and stuff, and instead of really like I say, instead of packing the things to run to the hills, it's more packing the intangibles like faith and love and experiences with Jesus and those things.
And that, like, stuff, for example, it's a heavy burden, and physically it's there, just try carrying your suitcase where you pack too much clothes, even with wheels on it, it gets heavy,
Yeah.
So,
and that's what we're talking about, the guitar and everything. It's the relationship, and it's much more about relationship, and because they were also talking about being deceived in the end, and how we're going to know, how do you be for sure to know the truth, and Satan's deceptions and the deceptions in the end, and da-da-da.
Yeah, well, as long as we have that relationship with God, He's not going to let us be deceived.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to tell him. I was like, well, the closer you are to Jesus, the relationship you have with Jesus, then it's easier to tell, that's true and that's not true because of your relationship, not because of even the knowledge you have.
Right, because you have experienced authenticity.
Right.
Rather than, and once you've experienced that authenticity, once you have experienced the sound of this guitar, for example, you're not going to be tempted by the cheaper sound of a cheaper guitar.
Yeah, you won't be fooled by a...
Yeah, and so eating out in some restaurants while we were gone that we hadn't been to in, I don't know, several years or so, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, you remember that, it was so good, and then you show up, and they've changed the recipes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, we're not going back there because they're being cheap. Yeah. It's not the authentic stuff that they used to have. The good stuff, So why would you go back there? And we can recognize that. We can recognize that...
the quality from the fake and and that's, again, even Ellen White stuff talks about even the very elect will be fooled in the end, because knowledge isn't it. It's experience and relationship is what tells the true from false.
Because knowledge, you're just relying on your own intellect, which man's wisdom doesn't even remotely begin to compare to God's. And God knows exactly what we need when we need it. And as long as we are receptive to Him when He is bringing this new truths and stuff to us, or new to us truths, as long as we are receptive to that and accept that, then we won't be deceived.
Yeah, so all of this really to say, what we're is that in our situation, context of studying Revelation, Sabbath school, really it's just your relationship with Jesus is the most important thing about being ready for the end, not knowing the signs, not knowing the timelines, not getting the bomb shelter in the farm. And what's really important is your relationship with Jesus and what He does for us, not what we do for Him.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about what we were talking about on Wednesday. Is the person said, well, God's on my side. Well, that's entirely different than Asa's prayer, where he said, God,
don't let man prevail against you.
Yes, don't let man prevail against you. Don't let man prevail against you. And that is us recognizing that we choose to be on God's side, and He's the one who goes out and does the fighting for us, not us fighting for ourselves.
Yeah, which is like the guitar reminds me of what my father did for me, not what I did for Dad. It's the love he had for me. And so that was, what I thought was really cool. And that was kind of our point today. And poor Miranda had all these thoughts, and they're here, and she just didn't feel like they were lining up. And I was like, you know what?
Lining up.
We can just talk our way through it, and it'll make sense.
Yes, and I'm like, but how? And so then he springs it on me.
And here we go. This is how. So anyway, that's our thing for today. Your relationship with Jesus is the most important thing, and it's not knowledge, it's not what you own, what you have, what you don't have. It's the experiences and the depth of relationship, the closeness you have with Jesus. that makes all the difference because it's what He does for us.
That's right.
Right. Even when you're stuck in Texas. Privileged to be in Texas. Not stuck. Happy to be in Texas.
We are happy to be in Texas because we're here. We're
doing what we're supposed to do.
Yes, we are in relative good health, and God provided Brett a job here in Texas. He provided us a place to live.
Go Lone Star. In fact, I don't know. Aspen is one. She's overjoyed to be in Texas. She loves Texas. She's thrilled about Texas.
The Bible says not to lie.
Yes. Poor Aspen. Well, we're getting off topic here, but I was talking about the other day. Somebody was asking her, where do you hail from? Like, where do you claim from? Because poor Aspen was born in Las Vegas, lived in Maryland, Nebraska, Texas. But, during that time, we stayed with family in North Carolina, South Carolina, Washington, Colorado.
Yes,
Poor girl has no real place to say, I spent a lot of time here. This is home.
Yeah, honestly, I've moved enough now in my life that I wouldn't consider myself from anywhere. I'm just a citizen of the United States.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And once I got to high school, I guess I was that way. I grew up in South Carolina, so I do have that. But after that, it was, a few years here, a few years there. So Aspen is coming by it naturally. It's part of the family heritage, moving around and
yes, you don't really claim a certain state as home.
Yeah.
I may have been born in Nebraska, and recently we lived 7 years there, but I wouldn't call myself a Nebraskan.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
And I wouldn't call myself any of the other states. I wouldn't call myself an Alaskan or a Coloradoan, a Oregonian, Marylander, wherever else we've lived by now. You just don't, because you haven't spent enough time there to be that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are citizens of North America. Because we did spend time in Canada. But
it really makes you realize that you have one home, and that is heaven.
Yeah.
And that is our true home.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're back, and who knows if we'll travel around Texas until it cools off a little bit. It's still triple digits down here in times. But anyway, thanks for joining us. Hope you had a good Sabbath, and we'll see you next time on Wednesday.